Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in this, the clown decade, the decade where things are only going to get worse before they get better. And oh boy, do we have something that I would have thought would have only come about at the peak of clown decade, but no, things are now only going to get worse than what I thought the worst was going to be. Now before we properly get into this video, it's worth saying that I have had many years of problems with Patriotic Alternative. I don't like their politics. I find an awful lot of groypers within Patriotic Alternative frankly annoying. I don't have much issue with the leadership as people. Mark Collette, Laura Towler, Sam Melia, who we're going to be talking about today, always seem to me like they could have reasonable conversations. They just have god-awful politics, and I frequently voice my disapproval of their politics. However, what has happened this week to Sam Melia is nothing short of a complete injustice. So, what happened? Samuel Melia, far-right activist, jailed after sticker campaign. Because as if our jails weren't full enough that we literally have to be letting out violent criminals early so that the spaces don't fill up, a judge found it reasonable to jail someone for stickers. A far-right activist has been jailed after a judge branded him an anti-Semite with Nazi sympathies. Which, if he's anything like Mark Collette, that is probably actually a fair assessment. However, you shouldn't go to jail for being an anti-Semite with Nazi sympathies. And this is the problem I have with this whole case. What has happened here is that Sam Melia has effectively been put in jail for his political beliefs. Sam Melia, 34, was found guilty earlier this year of inciting racial hatred after a series of stickering incidents between 2019 and 2021. Melia, from Puddy in West Yorkshire, was sentenced to 2 years in prison at Leeds Crown Court on Friday. Judge Tom Bayliss KC said the publication of this kind of material is corrosive to our society. Melia was the head of a Telegram messenger group, 100 Handers, a social media channel that generated racist and anti-immigration stickers that were printed off and displayed in public places. The stickers contained ethnic slurs about minority communities, which displayed a deep-seated apathy to those groups, the court heard. And again, I don't think this assessment is entirely wrong. Here are some examples cobbled together by Hope Not Hate, who were the campaign who were really trying to lobby for Sam to end up in jail. And as you can see, these stickers certainly are abrasive, especially three of the examples to Jews, with the small hats obviously being the ethnic slur that was talked about in court. And stickers like these, not only do I find myself disagreeing with them, but even if you do agree with them, I don't see why you think sticking these about would be helpful. I suppose that's the part that confuses me, but yes, it was found out that Sam Melia is one of the people in charge of 100 Handers, and he had the database with all these stickers on that he was sharing about. And this is the thing, I don't think he should be put in jail for this. I think he shouldn't be encouraging people to effectively partake in public graffiti. I'd be fine if he was punished just for that, with no reference to the intention, because the intention doesn't matter in that case. It does with something like murder, obviously, but even then the intention should only go as far as you intend to kill that person, or in this case, you intend for people to partake in public graffiti, but the intention shouldn't even take into account who, say, you're murdering, whether it's for a racist reason, whether it's for a revenge reason, whether it's just because you feel like killing. That doesn't matter. The point is you intended to kill. That is all that should come into question in court. And with this, I don't care whether it's stickers that are pro-communist, pro-Antifa, pro-fascist, anti-Jew, anti-white, whatever, it should have the same impact in court. And this is the huge problem we have here. Effectively, Sam Melia has been put in jail because of his opinions. The court also heard Melia had obsessive interest in Sir Oswald Mosley, who founded the British Union of Fascists in the 1930s, and that he was attempting to peddle the same anti-Semitism. Melia had a poster of Hitler in his garage, a book by Mosley in his bedroom, and it was found that much of the material 100 Handers published was xenophobic, nationalistic, and vitriolic. Again, all this is a dissection of Sam Melia's political philosophy, his beliefs. And belief, believe it or not, is not something that you can choose or even change consciously. And when it comes to the poster of Hitler and the books, I believe it was actually his wife, Laura Towler, who presented the receipts of actually these were all owned by her. And don't get me wrong, I think someone who actively puts up a poster of Hitler anywhere in their room, I think they're a bit of a wrong 'un, don't get me wrong, but again, I don't want them going to jail for it. And owning a book by Oswald Mosley, I mean, look, I've got Adolf Hitler Mein Kampf on my bookshelf right next to me. You know, am I going to go to jail for that? This doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Judge Bayliss said, for the first time since the 1930s, a real risk of gross, potentially violent anti-Semitism is becoming normalised in our streets. It has been used before to tear at the heart of Western democracy. It must not be allowed to do so again. Which to me, is a very weird thing to say. He's not tearing at the heart of Western democracy by being an anti-Semite. You know, if that was the case, we wouldn't allow George Galloway into the House of Commons. No, he's tearing at the heart of Western democracy by being a fascist and wanting a dictatorship. That's a little bit different. But I suppose it just goes to show the opinions of this judge here. After police arrested Melia in April 2021, they searched his house and found a label printer and stickers with anti-immigration messages. The court previously heard the 100 Handers Telegram channel had more than 3,500 subscribers. Again, that's worldwide as well. That's actually quite small, to be honest with you. And an anti-immigration sticker was even placed on the door of an MP's constituency office. It was also said that the media reports of stickering linked to the group extended from Cornwall to Northern Ireland, well, and even America, if some of the other stickers are to be believed. Again, it's worth noting this whole thing is just a complete character attack from Hope Not Hate, who ended up wanting him in jail. And I guess they got their wish, because they apparently got a judge that completely agrees with them and says, yes, we need people like this in jail. When at the end of the day, the most he should probably have got is a fine for, again, the public graffiti he was involved in and encouraging public graffiti. That's all he should have been punished for. The judge told Melia, I am quite sure that your mindset is that of a racist and a white supremacist, and I don't think he would deny that. You hold Nazi sympathies and you are an anti-Semite. Again, both can be true, both don't mean jail time. Melia, who was also found guilty of encouraging racially aggravated criminal damage, was sentenced for 2 years for each charge to run concurrently. He must serve up to half his sentence in custody before being released on licence. Deputy Chief Superintendent James Dunkerley, head of counter-terrorism policing North East, said, those that seek to bring hatred to our communities through actions such as stickering will be identified and brought to justice. Which is quite a funny thing to say, because, yes, I've put up the Hope Not Hate stickers that were part of his database and were, I will even agree with the court here, anti-Semitic, racist, vitriolic, but again, probably don't deserve 2 years in jail, which, by the way, is the minimum sentence for racially aggravated criminal damage. Which, by the way, I want to point out that stickering would come under minor damage, given it is a small amount of graffiti, and the minimum sentence there is a Band B fine, but can range up to a Band C fine. Which, just for reference, Band B fine is generally about 100% of your relevant weekly income, i.e. you pay a week's wages. Fine C is a week and a half's wages. This is just to show you that the state is very, very serious when it comes to racially or religiously aggravated criminal damage. Because the way you think really, really matters to the state. However, from that BBC article and many other articles that I have seen, you don't actually see the stickers that Melia was putting up around Yorkshire. In fact, all you see is the worst case scenario from Hope Not Hate of the other anti-Semitic stickers that he was sharing with people that they could stick up. So let's see what Melia was putting up. Reject white guilt, it's okay to be white, we will be a minority in our homeland by 2066, White Lives Matter, stop anti-white rape gangs, love your nation. And with all of these you have to stretch pretty far to say that they are racially aggravating. In fact, as Hope Not Hate put it, many are dog whistles deliberately calculated to spark heated discussions over the intended meaning, such as White Lives Matter and it's okay to be white stickers, whereas others are more explicitly racist. And the explicitly racist ones were not the ones that Sam Melia was putting up. But due to the Hope Not Hate's lobbying and the Equality Act, and many other amendments to criminal law that mean that your intention does matter, whether you're racist or not, he ended up with a larger minimum sentence, because although I think his criminal damage was actually, I mean, technically it was racially aggravated, but the point is I want it to not exist and for him to get a fine. But when it comes to other cases of assisting in criminal damage, well, according to the CPS, the maximum term of imprisonment may not exceed that for the relevant offence or for whichever of the two or more relevant offences carries the highest maximum sentence. In other words, although this is talking about jailing, technically he should not end up with a sentence that is higher than that if he actually committed the crime. In other words, he should have been fined twice. But because it's racially aggravated, the minimum sentence is 2 years. Because we're a very serious country. So anyways, it turns out this judge is particularly harsh when it comes to jailing people. At least that's what you'd think. So we're going to go through a bit of a compilation of some stories just from the past 2 years of sentences that this judge has passed down. Judge warns lead sex offender after second conviction for downloading vile child image. A judge told a pervert who was caught with child sex images for a second time that he was on the verge of becoming an incorrigible paedophile. I think if he's downloading child sex images and has actually been caught twice, I don't think he's on the verge of it. I think he passed that line long ago. Actually, my God, did he pass that line? Officers seized a laptop which contained more than 400 images of children aged between 1 and 16, a total of 154 images of Category A, which is the most serious level of offending. And you will probably find that in the Coroner's Act, because British law is so interesting that child sex images were put into an amendment in the Coroner's Act. In other words, you need to get a law that was intended for coroners to not abuse their position with dead bodies to convict paedophiles with child sex images. Tom Bayliss QC, because this was back when the Queen was alive, told Leach, "You're on the verge of becoming an incorrigible paedophile, but you are still yet 20. Yeah, he's an adult. He's an adult. He's an adult who had 400 paedophilic images with kids as young as 4. He's 20 and he knew what he was doing. The court has to have regard to the protection of the public. The sort of prison sentence I would be able to impose would not be as such as would have been the best chance of stopping you behaving in this way. What I am doing in order to deter you and protect the public in the future is to make a community order." And this was a 3-year order in which he must attend a sexual offending programme and complete 55 rehabilitation activity requirement days. Just bear in mind that owning just one Category A image should be a minimum of a year's custody. And this guy had 154. One has to wonder if this judge is a bit of a Vorsh fan. And it's pretty obvious that the judge is trying to protect his chances in the future, but the thing is, if you've been caught with child porn and it's gone to court, it's going to be on a DBS check anyway. So I don't see why this is going to be useful to anyone anyway. But hey, maybe it was a one-off. Just go before I change my mind. Judge warns apologetic defendant who dodged jail. A judge told the defendant to leave court after he tried to apologise for attacking a police officer. David Walker, who was already on a suspended sentence, tried to tell Judge Tom Bayliss QC that he would not let him down after he was given another chance during an appearance in Leeds Crown Court this week. But Judge Bayliss interjected and said, "Just go before I change my mind, count yourself very lucky indeed." Walker, 49, had admitted a charge of assaulting an emergency worker after an incident in Nottingley in May 26. Police have been called to an ongoing incident at around midnight on Wheeland Lock Mews, where Walker lives. Prosecutor Andrew Pitkin said. Apparently the emergency workers were trying to help Walker, who was limp, but then when he was being dragged out, he got up and tried to headbutt one of the officers, and he later apologised and said he had been taking sleeping pills. He has 17 convictions for 23 offences, including violence. Notably, he committed the latest offence while on a suspended 12-month jail sentence from last year for harassment and breach for restraining order. And Judge Bayliss said, "It's against my better judgment, but I'm going to impose another suspended sentence." So he currently has 2 suspended sentences for 12 and 4 months. In other words, I don't know how many chances this guy needs, but I would not be surprised if he has since committed yet another violent crime, because he keeps getting away with it. Yet posting stickers that you don't like on public property, that calls for 2 years jail time. But surely it can't get much worse than this. Batley man had sex with friend's dog, then joined paedophile WhatsApp group chat. Bilal Aklawaya had been spared an immediate prison sentence, but was told he will be in prison if he reoffends. Well, apparently not, if we're going to base it off yet another suspended sentence you gave just a month before this. So Bilal, 51, has avoided an immediate prison sentence for a catalogue of sickening crimes that saw him encourage the dog to penetrate him and download hundreds of horrific images showing children as young as 3 being abused. So analysis disclosed material for counts 1 to 5, Miss Edwards said, across the 2 mobile phones that were 81 category A, the worst kind of images, 236 category B, 266 category C. There were also extreme pornographic images. The age range of the children involved were 3 to 16 or 17. The category A images were at the lower end of that age range. In other words, this man is horrible. So the court heard he had pleaded guilty to sexual intercourse with an animal, possession of extreme pornography, and possession of indecent images of children at an earlier plea trial and preparation hearing. So due to these pleas being submitted to the court, Judge Tom Bayliss said he would hand him an 8-month suspended sentence for a year and made the subject of a 10-year sexual harm prevention order. He said Aklawaya would also have to undertake 30 rehabilitation activity requirement days and notify police of any changes to his address in the next 10 years. I'm kind of wondering if this judge actually has money invested into these rehabilitation programs that he makes money off, given the amount he's avoiding sending them to jail and instead sending them to these places, despite the fact that they own over 400 indecent images of children. The judge said he must cooperate with the probation service and must not commit any further offence. If he does what he has been asked to do, that will be the end of it. If he commits any further offences, he will need the suitcase that he brought with him today, should he return to court. He will also need the suitcase if he doesn't comply with what the probation service required of him, because he would return to court, and whatever his health difficulties, he will be sent to prison. Again, I have very high doubts about that, given his past habit of not handing out a jail sentence, despite the fact that the criminal has a suspended sentence. Anyway, the final and most recent one, a Leeds student drug dealer found with smorgasbord of cocaine, ketamine and cannabis. In other words, he had an awful lot of drugs in his house. Anyway, sentencing, once again, Judge Bayliss says, you were caught red-handed dealing drugs on a significant scale, and the messages on your phone indicate that you were supplying not just your friends but others. However, he opted not to jail Flowers, who had no previous convictions, and instead imposed a 2-year suspended sentence and ordered 300 hours of unpaid work. He told Flowers, you may consider yourself very fortunate indeed. Anyway, if you're wondering what the judge's Twitter is like, I'm afraid we can't see it because he's protected his own tweets, because people are obviously griping him because this was a completed justice, and given he can clearly hand out much less harsh punishment, he decided not to in this case, and I don't know whether it's anything to do with it, but anyway, here's a picture of him celebrating being in South Africa and glorifying Nelson Mandela. People have been sharing that image around a lot, so I don't see any reason I shouldn't either. I have a feeling that this sentence had something to do with what are clearly these man's personal political beliefs. In other words, this complete politicization of the law, and I do not like that fact. We need the law to try and remain as objective as possible and take out all of the subjective, this is the prevailing zeitgeist of the time, therefore we need to punish you if you go against it, type of things within the law. That is the main thing we need to do here. That the judge is just applying the law we already have. The problem is, of course, within Westminster, Whitehall, and our lawmakers. This judge is simply applying that law, and he actually gave the lowest sentence he could have given for racially aggravated criminal damage, so I suppose bear that in mind. However, I think the most surprising thing in all my research for this video was that Reddit was actually on Sam Melia's side, and I would not expect that from the UK politics Reddit. I mean, here are the top comments. There are drunk drivers who have killed people, rapists, people who have battered others and disabled them getting less or nothing. What is going on? Just a reminder, prison in the UK will not reform or de-radicalise this man, quite the opposite. Probably true, to be honest. The way prisons are, it will probably make him worse. And finally, the same judge let a man in possession of extreme child pornography off with a suspended sentence, by the way, but sent Melia down for 2 years, less than 2 months before his wife is due to give birth. That's true, I believe. Laura Taylor is pregnant, so congratulations to her. For putting up stickers which were deemed lawful in court. Yeah, that's the other thing. The court actually found that there was no lies detected on the stickers he was actually putting up. They were all truthful. It's just that they were racist facts. This country is disgusting, sick joke, yes. Our justice system is left something to be desired. Once again, I blame Tony Blair. But I think I will save that for another video. I will keep this relatively short and sweet at 20 minutes. So, yeah, that's everything I had for you today. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.